Before 2020, the US was expanding the money supply by 7%. So we had 7% a year leakage annually. So we're basically leaking half the energy out of the system every 10 years on the world reserve currency since 1971, certainly. And I think probably since 1914 or so. So that's about a 7% leakage per year, but it was about a 14% leakage per year in the developing world. The money, energy has a half-life, or money has a half-life of 10 years in strong currencies, and has a half-life of 5 years in the weak currencies. And that was the status quo till 2020.
MicroStrategy co-founder and executive chairman Michael Saylor has a peculiar background, a unique blend of aeronautics and astronautics and science, technology, and society. Coupled with his over 20 years of experience in the financial markets, Saylor has established a name for himself as a master in the industry. In a recent interview, the American entrepreneur discusses one of humanity's most challenging concepts: what is money, and how can it be created, maintained, and successfully transferred through time and space? In his interview, Saylor explains that this important concept has plagued humans for thousands of years, with the rise and fall of every dynasty, empire, and civilization. But our search for a pristine form of wealth preservation has always been plagued with pitfalls, much like it was with earlier civilizations. Saylor explains that we still erroneously leave monetary decisions in the hands of lawyers, politicians, and other professionals who just don't understand the dynamics of money and energy. According to Saylor, money is the highest form of energy humans can channel. And just like other systems, it follows some given sets of rules that policymakers have not learned to understand. This is why the former MicroStrategy says Bitcoin is hope, because it was created by an engineer who understands the balance required to create an asset with all qualities of a great monetary system. Saylor also speaks extensively about currency debasement and what the future will look like for both developed and developing economies if the trend continues. Please watch the video to the end, hit the like button, and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
But a fascinating subject, right? What is money? The highest form of energy that humans can channel, right? Money is energy. A monetary system is an energy system. And money has traditionally been the province of economists, or at least in our modern world, economists and politicians. We have lawyers in charge of the money supply. Economists, lawyers, politicians are considered to be qualified to run the monetary system, the banking system, the money system, and the money supply. But if you actually just accepted the idea that money is energy and a monetary system is an energy network, then you would actually think that I ought to put an engineer in charge of that. Bitcoin's the first time when anybody figured out how to engineer a monetary system, and Satoshi is an engineer, right? I mean, a multifaceted engineer that had a pretty good familiarity, not just with economics and politics, but had a good familiarity with mechanical engineering and electrical engineering and computer science and cybernetic systems and servo mechanisms and stability and feedback. And first order stability is something that you absolutely have to understand if you're an aeronautical engineer. When you design an airplane, if it's stable, it means when the plane tilts 10 degrees to the left, the lift on the wing builds up to bring the airplane back to center. And if it's stable, it'll tend to fly true and upright. And if it's unstable, when it tilts 10 degrees to the left, it'll tend to tilt 20 degrees more to the left, and then it'll just flip and go into a spiral, a death spiral, and you'll crash into the ground, you'll die. And so lack of stability typically means the plane crashes and burns. In ocean engineering, when you build a ship, you want stability so that when the ship, pitches, 10 degrees to one side, it tends to want to come back to stability, to a neutral, buoyant, stable point. And if it does that, right, then it's going to not capsize. But if it's unstable, if you get the center of gravity too high, or the center of mass too high in the ship, you tilt 20 degrees to the left or something like that, you get a roll, and the thing just rolls over. So not not engineering systems with stability is a death sentence in the engineering world, but in the monetary world, not getting the stability right is a political inconvenience, and you just kick the can down the road and leave it to the next person. And ultimately, the result is the monetary system collapses. But if it takes 10 or 20 or 30 years, you're not there, and you can just blame it on something else. So.
To put his explanation into a modern-day perspective, Saylor explains that before 2020, fiat currencies lost between 7 and 14% of their value annually. But with the spending spree of the past 2 years, things have escalated quickly, which means the inevitable collapse will happen much sooner than expected for many fiat currencies. Saylor uses the example of countries like Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, Argentina, Turkey, Lebanon, and Venezuela, which are all in stages of economic collapse.
Before 2020, the US was expanding the money supply by 7%. So we had 7% a year leakage annually. So we're basically leaking half the energy out of the system every 10 years on the world reserve currency since 1971, certainly. And I think probably since 1914 or so. So that's about a 7% leakage per year, but it was about a 14% leakage per year in the developing world. The money energy has a half-life, or money has a half-life of 10 years in strong currencies, and has a half-life of 5 years in the weak currencies. And that was the status quo till 2020. And the way that kind of reflects itself is in weak nations, the currency collapses about every 20, 25 years. And we saw currency collapses, financial collapses in Russia. There was one in 96. We saw currency collapses in Argentina about every 20, 25 years. So weak countries in Africa, weak countries in South America, weak countries in Asia, they keep losing their currency system collapses every 20 to 30 years. And then the strong currency, it's going to last about 100 years or 50 years or so, 50 to 100 years. That all got accelerated in March of 2020 when I think the rate of monetary inflation in the U.S. dollar, it doubled to triple. It sort of went somewhere in the range of 20% a year, 15 to 20% a year. I think we expanded the money supply 20% each of the next 2 years, and so a 40% debasement of the currency in the world reserve currency over 24 months. But if we look at the other currencies and what's going on with them, I think it's kind of even more disturbing. If you look at currencies against the dollar in the last 12 months, the Japanese yen is down 23%. The Polish zloty is down almost 19%. South African rand is down 17%. Great British pound's down 16%. Won's down 15%. The euro's down 15%. And even the Chinese currency, which they control, is down about 8% year over year. So what we see is that the strongest currency, the dollar, is losing something at this point like 15% or more of its purchasing power a year. So overall, the fiat currency system is bleeding energy at a more rapid rate. At a 15% monetary inflation rate, money has a half-life of less than 5 years. Ayn Rand said 50 years ago, 60 years ago, she said, my mission is to separate the economy from the state. Right. And so the ideologues understood it then, right? The Milton Friedmans of the world understood it, right? And there's a Chicago School of Economics that campaigned for it, and von Mises and Friedrich Hayek, right? But they didn't have a technology to solve the problem. So this was a philosophy, and your only method to address this was politics. It was a problem that had to be solved in the political realm. If you could get yourself appointed to be head of the Fed, or if you could become president of the United States, then maybe, or be Paul Volcker, maybe you could take some action which represented sound money and natural thermodynamically sound engineering principles. Maybe you could, but you had to be a politician. It wasn't until Satoshi gave us Bitcoin that you actually had a technology that was viral that you could build into a mobile phone, or you could build into a website that might actually help you attack this or address this issue. So I say Bitcoin is hope. I think
Bitcoin is hope for many people, especially in Argentina, where year-over-year inflation is heading to 100%, or in Lebanon, where citizens had to rob banks to withdraw their deposits. This is why, despite the bear market and significant price declines, many market leaders like Michael Saylor are still holding on to their Bitcoin. Earlier in the week, billionaire investor and renowned hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones revealed that he still owns some Bitcoin and expects prices to be much higher than they are now. The billionaire added that when fiscal spending increases, crypto assets like Bitcoin and Ether will have more value. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin's impact in today's financial world? Please drop your replies as well as your comments and observations on Michael Saylor's interview in the comments section below. Also, be sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out our other crypto-related videos to stay updated. Thanks for watching.